Welcome to the third IBM OMEGAMON Technical Summit, bringing in together our community of OMEGAMON users around the world. Hello, everybody. As you know, I'm Sahi Amir Soleimani, Vice President of the Infrastructure Modernization Business Unit at Rocket Software. For over 30 years, Rocket Software has been a strategic partner at IBM, collaborating closely, driving innovation and positive business outcomes for our joint systems customer base. As you can tell, we have a passion for our customers and our business. And today with me is one of our greatest partners in crime, Sanjay Chandru, the Director of Automation and zAIOps.
Next is our second modernization break. We will hear from Dave Willoughby from IBM about OMEGAMON data provider use cases. Dave, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. How's everyone today? This is Dave. I might be new to this team in a couple different ways. First, I have 37 years at IBM, but only 6 years, the last 6 years, I came over to mainframe software. I'm a hardware guy by training, and I worked in all the different hardware brands. And then I kind of did some hybrid cloud coming to this team. So I'm here to learn from a lot of you guys, partners, colleagues, customers. And these modernization breaks, I hope you guys like them. They sound good. If they mean it's time to go get coffee, you better hurry back, because I have a quick, pretty inspirational presentation. Next, please. Next, please. Right, so I've been looking at, now that we have all this ODP data, and I've been streaming for months into warehouses, ELKs, influxes, but it's like, so what? As I was listening to this presentation, I feel like I should be like a Steve Kornacki. You're giving me a lot of statistics, but tell me what it means. So that's really where I'm picking up. I want to look at a couple concepts. I've got more concepts, various work streams in this area, but I'll show you what I've been seeing and things I'm proposing that we do, especially around the area of situations. I think Kevin said, you know, something about situations and steroids. I want to bring rocket fuel. I don't know if I upped him or not, but next, please. So already, the OMEGAMON for DB2 last year did one of the things that folks normally do, just kind of starting out to see, is a metric, maybe a single metric, maybe a group of metrics, kind of falling, you know, day after day, time after time into a distribution that's pretty consistent, and then one day it just decides to leave the lane, like the lane departure alert in your car. So that's one thing that's been done, and what I propose is we keep doing that for various single metric analytics. Next, please. But also, even though I'm a new timer here, I'm learning from you guys. This list of what I call outages, I've either seen personally or it happened to me. And just this last week, I had another one of these that's not even on the list. We ran out of CSA on a machine, and the guys just re-IPL. I'm like, well, the problem's still there. There's a leak somewhere. So I think there's a lot of key metrics in these various subsystems that we can observe. We can use situations. And like Kevin says, you know, that can, you know, trigger your run books, etc. So if you guys know these, please help me add to the list. But it's crazy. Coming from distributed and working on mainframe, there's just a lot of pre-allocation that you guys have to manage. And you shouldn't have to manage it. It should all be dynamic somehow. Next, please. And again, I'm going to have a couple slides on trending. But again, it's outages. It's like we only have so many VTOC entries. We only have so many Joes and Jens or whatever those things are for Jez. They're all allocated as you guys set up machines. But like your car, even regardless of who's driving the car or if it's hilly, it'll figure out when you're going to run out. So we should be able to do fits to trends, and that's some of the rocket fuel I want to put into situations. Next. And here's, I'm getting more to an example, maybe a timely example, right? The hurricane models give the track where the storm's going to go. Storm was horrible. It's causing a lot of grief, but at least the weather guys have kind of figured this out. They model it 5 or 6 different ways, and nowadays they're pretty much right all the time. And the same thing, you know, I have a pattern here of database access threads that I know a lot of customers deal with, and there's a maximum set kind of by policy, but we should know if all of a sudden, it's a high surge in work coming to the mainframe, we're going to flatten out. We're going to start not idling, what's the word? Throttling, capping performance if we hit that max DDAT. So I want to give you guys, hours of warning. Next, please. And besides that, going out of guard bands, this trend I just kind of show, I call it a hockey stick, just to give it a name. There's others, right? Like a key value, just drops to 0 or flattens out or actually goes down instead of up. But let's start looking for these. Train a little artificial brain that can look for these. Next slide, please. So here's some real world examples. This is customer data. It got where the system was 100%, but it took 2 days. So already something looked different, just a few hours in. Next slide, please. Again, a field example caused a major outage in a prominent enterprise that you guys all know the name of. This one, we had over 2 months where some change in the code, but this brewed in the background. Nobody knew what was happening until the machine stopped working. So here we could give you 2 months warning. I'm not sure I want to give 2-month forecasts, but let's try to make this stuff work. Next slide. I think this is my last in the lab. This was from the Rocket dev test team. Obviously, limit or not, this is going to keep going up. It's not some code we want to ship. And occasionally we probably see these in the field too. Next. So how do we kind of implement these? You guys saw this slide before, but there's a lot of questions about ODP. I know it's still pretty new. Like our leaders, Sagi and others, offered offline meetings. If your company or team wants to really learn a lot more, I'm happy to, get together with you guys. One little comment I have on this slide, and I did it in chat as well, Logstash, once you get the data to Logstash, it can send it 50 different places. I list Datadog, Dynatrace, Influx. Same with Kafka. MongoDB, someone asked about Azure in chat. Yes, I went and checked. Kafka to Azure, there's connectors out there. So next slide, please. And just another story from the lab. This is one of my development machines. The first 2 graphs are ODP data. I've been streaming it to InfluxDB, one of the leading time series databases. And after they did software application, the next slide on the right, it was totally different. Just everything was way out of whack. I brought up the TEPS in the lower left. Immediately it showed me the address space. That's just gonzo. And with a little finesse on the starter dashboards that we have when we ship the ODP, these are out in the GitHub public. I was able to use, what was this? This was Kibana sample dashboards. It could have been Grafana as well. So I know there's been a lot of UI discussion in the back. I'm kind of hinting at also analytics platforms. A, can do monitoring. B, can store and visualize your data. And now let's figure out, I'm getting tired of looking at those graphs though. I want an artificial brain to tell me something changed in the machine. And we can program some artificial brains. Next. Here it comes with Elastic. There's a built-in price feature. So if you guys are already using Elastic in your enterprise, it has this kind of machine learning where it learns the variability, periodicity of the data. This is one of my sample workloads, and I pushed it high, and then little orange and red bubbles appeared, and you guys just could decide to send alerts to your event management system from this. We've already shipped this with ODP a year ago. Just get the data to this analytics platform. It's got built-in AI. Next slide. And here's future. The orange is where consistently this workload would go. Next slide. Back to trending in my own workload experimentation. I doubled. I went outside the lanes on this. Again, it was DB2 external connections. Next, please. And the beginnings of outage avoidance for, we don't want to know, or we do want to know when we get to max DBAT. And here I did a linear fit on the data from the warehouse, and it said we're going to route in 1.2 hours. So let's tell you now, we might be wrong in some cases, right? After it's been rising for 2 hours, maybe it peters out, right? Same thing is true of thunderstorms. Sometimes they get worse, sometimes they peter out. But I still let you know, right? Like a storm watch, storm warning. Next, please. I think that's it. Well, I have a few more. We can just flip through them quickly. Here's another view in Kibana, right? Off the shelf, free software. You guys, if you want to use it in your enterprise, you'll want to get an enterprise support license from them. But you can do all kinds of cool graphical stuff. Next, please. Even in the Elastic ecosystem, you can kind of like build up what they call canvases, which were half like PowerPoints or whatever. You can get really fancy in your words and pictures, but still put live data in them. So maybe your situation room or your knock center, this would be good enough for operators to know what the key KPIs are doing, versus some more complicated graph. And lastly, like I said before, let's get together and collaborate. If you want to share graphs or data, I'm looking for that, and we can spawn small groups. Well, thank you.